So in this video today, guys, I want to talk about something that is commonly talked about within usually the spiritual realm of the internet, or even just within spirituality itself, which is this idea of the law of attraction. Because what is it really? What requires attraction in life and things of this nature when it comes to wanting to be either the best version of yourself, or you want to get somewhere in life and you want to achieve certain goals and be successful? Now, there are many ways of looking at this, but I want to kind of dig more deeper into what this actually is, rather than, just going on about the very airy-fairy kind of wishful thinking of most people when it comes to this topic. Because most people just say law of attraction is about having affirmations and saying things to yourself and kind of looking in the mirror and saying you're this and you're that and that you're these positive things, and and it's not really action orientated, is it? It doesn't really lead to any kind of action, any kind of change in the real world, right? So we can look at it from the sense of virtue. Because if you want to attract a certain life, or if you want to live a certain life and be a certain way, you want to attract the right thing, right? You want to attract virtue into your life by being virtuous. The opposite of that is to be someone who's very self-indulgent, someone who's absent of virtue, which is to be someone who just lives by vice alone and things of this nature. So I want to go into this and kind of give a way of looking at it from this perspective that's a bit more concrete and action orientated, rather than this whole pseudo-spiritual perspective, right? So what does it mean to be something? If we want to be something, what is it that we need to be itself? We need to be of good character. Aristotle, in terms of virtues and ethics, he talks about what it means to be of good character. That there are certain moral virtues that are objectively good, that if we can internalize and become those things, we can be of good character. So how do we be of good character? We have to be of virtue. We have to internalize virtue. We have to become virtuous individuals. And the only way we can do that is through self-discipline, the practice of self-discipline in our lives. That's how we become virtuous, or at least be on the path towards virtue. And self-discipline in its practice is, to be wise, to embody justice, to embody temperance, to embody courage, and to not fall into the vices of the opposite of these things, right? And that, through self-discipline, we can, of course, become more virtuous as individuals and develop a good character. Now, when we do this, we become, in a sense, a container of virtue itself. We build ourselves into disciplined individuals to the point where we, as bodies, souls, minds, unified mind and body individuals and all of this type of stuff, we become containers of virtue. And this is why a lot of people say, well, discipline equals freedom. Because you can only really have freedom if you're disciplined, if you have self-discipline, because you've learned systems of self-regulation that allow you to become someone who's autonomous, who's free, who can actually be capable in the real world when it comes to applying themselves to different things, whether it be towards like a business, towards relationships, towards social dynamics, towards friendships, towards, being just an upright, good individual, a virtuous person, someone that does the right thing, to do the right thing. And that is where we get freedom, right? And now when we do this, when we be of good character, we attract virtue in relation to that thing. If we are virtuous, we attract virtue in response, because that's what we're putting out into the world. Right? And this is what you want. And these people you could say, are the attractors. The opposite of these people are the chasers, the people that chase things all the time in life, and they never really, become virtuous, but they always just chase after self-indulgences of the world. Those people are not virtuous, they're the opposite. So when it comes to like this idea of law of attraction, all this type of thing, you attract what you put out, right? You attract who you are and who you become. And the best way to attract the best and the highest and the most good of good things is to be a virtuous individual and to live by virtue alone, right? Now, what happens when we do the opposite of this? Let's say we have these two archetypes. You have the archetype of the attractor, someone who attracts things into their life that are of good quality by being virtuous. And then the opposite of that is the chaser, someone who can't attract anything of good quality, but they just chase after everything instead. They just chase after different forms of pleasure, different forms of self-indulgence, and they can't be a magnet for good things in this world because they can't be self-disciplined. So that type of individual is very much born into vice. They live by vice alone. And something that is vice is basically something that is absent of virtue. So this is someone, instead of being self-disciplined, they live by self-indulgence. So that means they practice self-indulgence. So they generate vices within their life that are of greed, pride, gluttony, slothfulness, envy, anger. And when someone lives by that, they basically bring that into their life. They don't really generate anything of goodness into the world. They just continue, or basically there is a domino effect of the continuation of that existence of vicefulness, right? And that is what is attracted into the world. And you could see these people are those who chase after things that are, you could say, the fruits of virtue. You know, they're chasing after the indulgences of things in which they truly have not earned. You know, they haven't developed the systems or the forms of self-discipline, which are basically systems of management for oneself, the forms of self-discipline to develop virtue, to just generate goodness itself by mere virtue alone, right? And this is really how you should see the law of attraction, is that you cannot attract anything good if you're not putting anything good into oneself, right? If you're not becoming a self-disciplined individual. So to attract what is good is required through self-discipline. The opposite of that is self-indulgence. If you indulge in things of the flesh, as it says in Christianity, or if you indulge in things of, vice itself to try and get earthly pleasures or to kind of feel the whims of success that are not earned or things like this, then you'll then be absent of virtue and you're not going to produce anything of virtue into this world. Therefore, you're not going to attract anything good. So this is how you should kind of look at the law of attraction. The law of attraction in this general sense is like very just kind of pseudo-scientific rubbish in the sense that, yeah, of course you attract things. Everyone attracts things. Like you do something, there's an equal opposite reaction, Newton's third law or whatever it is. It's not exactly a surprise in that sense, right? It's not exactly a massive insight, but these things are in relation to virtue, morality, what you do with your free will, how you treat others, what you produce and what you make in this world, your actions, your decisions. And if you want to live the life you want, you need to be of virtue. You need to figure out how you can become a self-disciplined individual that grounds themselves in good habits, in good ways of living, where they have strong forms of time management, where they are aligning themselves towards a certain morality of goodness, like Christianity or something of this nature, or people who are just disciplined in maintaining their health, their mental health, their physical health, all of this kind of stuff. And that is what will breed and attract the life that you want fundamentally. If you don't do those things, you'll attract the life that you don't want. Now, if you're an individual who's like, I want to attract this certain type of life, but I find it very difficult to develop virtue or to develop self-discipline or to just practice self-discipline itself, then I would recommend you to book in a free one-on-one call with me, because this is exactly the kind of stuff that I focus on when it comes to people who are struggling with procrastination. Because people who struggle with procrastination are people who are saying to themselves, I'm not living the life I want to live, but I want the certain outcomes that I want to have, but I cannot achieve them because I don't know how to be self-disciplined. Now, if you want a certain kind of life where you are self-disciplined, this is what is required. You need to become self-disciplined. You need to break out of that connection you have with procrastination so that you can start living the life you want, attracting the things that are positive towards your life and attracting basically that of goodness in this world. So if you're interested in looking into that, click on the link down in the description below. Thanks for watching this video, and I will speak to you in the next one.